So, Donovan, man, I talk about a tale of two halves for the offense yesterday.
Right.
So, you're watching that.
Right.
What is happening in the first half, and then what happens in the second half to allow them to move the ball the way they did and score the way they did?
All right, so here we go again. So the words that I hear, that you will hear, will now become questions of the next couple weeks, and answers will be made. Remember, I said by week 6, week 7, this offense will begin to evolve a little bit, and I think what we've seen in the first half is the reason why it probably hasn't evolved. Because number one, they don't have an identity. It's a new coordinator, so we're gonna go through that process. Number two, to me, and I'm going to put it out there, it seems that they don't trust Jalen. And I know that's a bombshell that I just lit the fuse, because it seems to me like they don't trust Jalen enough, who's your MVP of the Super Bowl, who's taken you to 2 Super Bowls, and also helped you win the game in the second half of a lot of games that he's played in this year. It seems to me like they're not utilizing his ability to be able to spread the ball around and push the ball downfield. When I look at this offense, it's number one thing that it starts with to me is they need to establish the passing game to open up the run with this team this year. Last year, remember, it took Kellen Moore to do something different that he hasn't done in any time that he's called plays in the NFL, and that's establish the run first to set up the pass. Now, he tried to do a little bit of that when it was with the Chargers to take a little pressure off of Justin Herbert, but it became more about the pass. And so with this coordinator that we have, he seems to try to ride the wave a little bit of what Kellen Moore established later in last year's season. But to me, again, it just doesn't start with your MVP quarterback, and it should. They need to provide more input, get more input from their starting quarterback of what he likes and how he plays, because the strength of what Jalen Hurts is more the downfield passing game. Have you seen that in the years that he's been starting? Have you seen that become a staple of what they do in the passing game? That would be a no. And so I'll answer that for you. So what we've seen has been a lot of the intermediate and the quick passing game, which has led to him now either checking the ball down or getting his swing routes and flat routes more involved. And that's why you don't see a lot of passing yards in the first half.
So let me ask you this, Donovan. I think it's been league-wide, but it's certainly against the Eagles, is the way that defenses are playing more zone, more that too-high zone, which makes it harder to throw the ball downfield.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to – let me ask you.
When they're playing zone coverage, and I could be able to add to this, when they're playing zone coverage, which is quarters coverage, for those who don't know, every DB is playing a quarter of the field. So the way that you attack quarters is you have a three-level concept, which you have someone going flat or somewhere low, somebody going to the intermediate part, and then you have another one taking the top off of coverage. At some point, you put pressure on that safety to either have to cover number 1 or number 2. And so for number 1 or number 2, if you're running a crossing route by number 2, which usually be your slot guy or your tight end, you have your receiver either running a post or running a comeback, which is an out, or a curl route. So what forces them to now go into cover 2, which is another zone, and then now what you do with that is you utilize and attack the weaker part of the zone. And remember, last year, what did I say? We need to get the ball to Dallas Goedert or utilize our running backs in the middle of the football field. In cover 2, you establish that by attacking the middle of the football field, which will lead those safeties now to get a little bit more hungrier, which they'll start attacking inside, which now you can work outside. What teams are not doing versus our football team is playing a lot of single high man. They'll play cover 2 man, but they won't play a lot of single highs just straight man. Because what does that do? Now that puts you on the island versus AJ. If they put him on the island versus AJ, then we will continue to attack that.
Yeah, any one-on-one, that should make a quarterback's eyes light up.
Absolutely.
And you give your guys a chance down the field to make plays.
So what did you see in the second half, Spike? What did you see in the second half? You think for a zone coverage and the man not pressing on AJ, he was off at about 8 yards, and he backpedaled. So what do we get? We got curl routes and stop routes with A.J. on those third downs that we converted.
But
what did they play on Devontae? Zone coverage, soft. He worked that inside, ran the out for the touchdown. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yep. But
they ran cover two, basically. And what did we hit? Dallas got it for the touchdown up the middle, correct?
Yep.
Correct. But what we
that
also
was in the second half.
What we also saw was Jalen's willingness to throw balls to guys that were not wide open, which I think one of the criticisms of Jalen so far this year. And you're right. Like I actually agree with you as far as how much they trust him or don't trust him, was an unwillingness to throw the ball when it appears as if the guy is covered.
Let me correct you. Let me correct you with that. Correct you with that.
Okay.
And what was the conversation about Jalen in his first 3 years of the league? He throws a softer ball. He doesn't drive it.
Yep.
Jalen anticipates routes and throws the spot. That's what quarterbacks that you see that are very successful. Not the Josh Allens, not the Lamar Jacksons. You'll see a little bit of Patrick Mahomes, but when you watch guys like Joe Burrow and most of those guys that are throwing to obviously some of the top receivers, but they're throwing the windows. You throw the windows, you throw the spots, and your receivers run in there. And that's more of what Jalen is. He's more of an anticipatory thrower. Well, he'll throw with touch in a different spot. He's not a strong arm thrower. That's never been Jalen's strength. It's never been about how powerful his arm was. He's just throwing the spot. And that's when you see that dagger route that he threw to Devontae as he came. He threw that ball before Devontae came out his break.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to stop when we're watching the game being kind of coaches on the couch and stop looking at it in a sense of, well, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. But the man is still completing over almost 70% of his passes. And I don't think he's thrown an interception in the fourth quarter of at least 15 of the games that we've won, in our streak. Am I correct?
Sounds about right to me.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I'm not sure,
just
but
checking.
I can't remember the last time he threw an interception late in the game. Yeah.
Game.
I mean, you said something early in this conversation, Fav, that I wonder if you can dive into it a little bit more. The idea that we don't come out aggressive and assertive like they did in the second half, showing a lack of sort of trust in Jalen. I'm just wondering, how does that play on the psyche of a quarterback, right? Because I would imagine the players sort of feel that as well. AJ sort of mentioned something like that after the game about we don't need to be as conservative. You got to let your killers eat. So the players seem to feel that way as well.
I think when you hear killers, that don't really pertain to the quarterback.
No, I totally agree. Yes. Yeah.
Come on now. I mean, that's basically like let the killers eat, man. Throw the ball to us.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Let me dive into it because to me, when I watch these games, and I even go back to even a little bit of last year in the early parts of the season, I just felt like they didn't trust him. And at least the report that I had when I played was we would attack downfield. We would create explosive plays early on and then methodically go with the way that our offense, because what you're doing is you're establishing the downfield throwing game. Mm-hmm. And so it could be a bootleg, it could be a half throw, where you got three receivers running three-level type of routes. It could be the tight end running an out route and the slot guy running a dig route and then a post or something, and then all of a sudden now you put pressure on the secondary. Yeah. And so when you put pressure on the secondary, as a defensive coordinator, one thing you don't want to give up is what, right? As from a defensive
the deep
player.
ball,
the deep play, exactly. Yep. So now you go into a softer coverage, which now you get 6 men in the box. You run the football. Mm-hmm. And so now we force you to either have to bring linebackers or bring a safety and a linebacker or some type of combination, and we go play action game. We go play action game. Well, now we put pressure on that corner that we know we've been circling all through the week, that we've been scouting. Never my term, the diamond girl. You go after her or go after him every time, and then now what that does is now you got to start blitzing. And when you start blitzing and you blitz from the strong side, we run to the weak side. And that's when I think you look at last year, what we were so good with running Saquon to the weak side, and then when they blitz to the strong side, there we go. And then now, obviously, we can establish what it is that we want to do. What I want to see from this football team is I want to see us run the screen game a lot more. We got a dynamic running back that can catch the ball out in the flat on top of the numbers or on the hash and get that offensive line moving. Well, now we're putting pressure on those secondary members when you got offensive linemen run at them. I would love to see us run a little bit more of the screen game.
Quarterback hasn't been great at throwing screen passes so far.
Who's that?
The quarterback hasn't been great at throwing screen passes.
You know why?
Thus far. I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Because we haven't been blocking the outside number 4, which is usually a linebacker or a safety, and that usually ends up being what? The ball you got to throw at his feet because you don't want it to get picked.
Mm-hmm. I'm still looking for that.
We can't throw the screen game. If we can throw the screen game, but you have to be able to block outside number 4 before he disrupts the play.
Let me ask you this. What is it about – I've seen a lot of times when an offense is struggling, sometimes they'll move to hurry up, and it seems to juice the offense. They get into a rhythm.
Correct.
What is it about moving from a normal huddle to hurry up that can get an offense back in rhythm?
Because you're dictating the game. You're controlling the game now because you can't substitute guys on and off the field depending on the personnel that we're bringing. When you start to go a no-huddle type of tempo, now all of a sudden your quick game, your run game, your draws, your play action, you start attacking where that quick game now opens up the intermediate game, and then now you soften up that coverage where now they get 6 in the box, 5 in the box, depending on how you spread them out, and then you run the ball. So now what does defensive coordinators have to do? They got to try to bring another corner or another D lineman on. And so now you're continuing to control the narrative of how you want the game to go. That's exactly what you've seen in the second half. We controlled that tempo of the game where their offense is standing on the sideline waiting because we're driving. And so now when we continue to put points on the board in that no huddle, now Sean McVay has to understand how am I going to attack our defense with the tempo of eating up the clock or utilizing the time so that he can cut it short for our offense getting back out on the field because we have the momentum now.
Yeah, I haven't recovered from the Diamond Girl comment you made. So, yes, I'm still – I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you said that.
People don't know what that is. Like, I mean, we're all close to our 50s now. I mean, you know.
You wild, man.
You're going to have them Googling it. You know that, right?
They go Google that.
Yeah. Our audience knows how to find Google. I can promise you that. They correct us all the time. So
it's the 90s, early 2000s term. Y'all don't know about that. Y'all too young.
Yeah, I'm the same age as you are. All right.
You ain't been in the circles we've been in.
No, I have not. I have very different circles. Very different circles. All right, Donovan. Well, big win yesterday. Will be interesting to see moving forward if they adjust offensively based on what happened in that second half.
Yeah.
So
I still think it's going to be a couple weeks. I said it last week. It's going to be a couple weeks because it's about consistency when you're playing at this level. And even all across the league, I mean, I think it might have been, 5 field goals that were blocked?
Yeah.
And offensively, like it hasn't been I would say more of an explosive type of game from any type of offense that we've seen so far from any of these teams across the NFL. I give Harbaugh a lot of credit of what he's been doing over there, but it hasn't been explosive for him in the passing game. It's been efficient.
Yep.
All right, Donovan. Same time, same place. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, big dog.
Sir. All right, don't go looking up Diamond Girl. It ain't.
There he is, Donovan McNabb.